I chose to cover topic 1 of my video essay. This topic is about Thomas Aquinas and William Paley and their arguments to prove God's existence. During the time of each of these philosophers' lives was a period of enlightenment. A lot of things were being questioned, including science and religion. People wanted answers to why and what was true. So Thomas Aquinas created 5 arguments to prove why he thought God existed that was through reason as well as faith. William Paley wanted to prove that science and faith could both be true. Today, I will reconstruct 3 of Thomas Aquinas' arguments, as well as William Paley's argument and my own argument. The first argument I found compelling by Thomas Aquinas was the argument for motion. This argument states that everything in the universe had to be put into motion by something else. Therefore, there had to be an unmoved mover to start this chain reaction of motion. Later on, philosophers have found issues with this argument. The first one being, what moved the unmoved mover? This creates a contradiction that states that everything in the universe has to be moved by something. And the second problem being, why does it have to be the Christian conception of a God that started the chain reaction? Why couldn't it have been something else, or a different God, or gods? The second argument I chose to cover by Thomas Aquinas is the degree of excellence argument. In this argument, he states that everything in the world has differing and various degrees of qualities. And to make comparisons, we need something that exhibits a quality to the maximum. He states that humans are both good and bad, and therefore cannot exhibit a quality of goodness to the maximum. And we need something to exhibit that quality for us. He says that God exhibits this quality. However, later philosophers have found issues with this problem. Why do we need something to exhibit a quality to the maximum to be able to compare it? We don't need the maximum hotness outside to say that it's hot out, so why do we need a maximum goodness to say that we are good or bad? A second issue that they found is that why does it have to be the Christian conception of a God again? Why can't it be multiple gods? Why can't it be some object just there? The third and final argument by Thomas Aquinas I'm going to cover is the argument from harmony. I, as well as many others, have found this argument the most convincing. This argument points out that many things move towards a goal even though they lack knowledge to do so. Plants lack the knowledge to want or need to move towards a goal, but they do. They move towards the sunlight because if they don't, they die. He points out that this is way too perfect to be left up to chance to decide. He uses the example of an archer and an arrow to prove his point. He states that the archer gives the arrow the purpose and the goal to be shot at a target. He states that the archer is like God. God gives the things that lack knowledge a purpose. However, many philosophers have found issues with this. The first issue being, is the world truly harmonious? Because things like natural disasters and disease exist. And the second issue being, evolution explains a lot of what patterns we see in things being moved towards a goal. This leads me to William Paley. He was around during the late 1700s, which was a period of scientific development. A lot of people were questioning whether religion and science could be true at the same time. Therefore, William Paley created the theological argument, which explains this. He used the example of a watch and a watchmaker to prove his argument. He states that if you were to find a watch on the ground, you would assume it had a creator due to its design and complexity. So using the same logic, if you were to find the universe, you would assume it would have a creator due to its design and complexity. William states that this creator would have to be more powerful than a human due to the largeness of the universe. And therefore the creator would have to be God. However, some issues have been found with this argument. The first one being that the examples were picked out to prove his argument perfectly. And if you were to find a plant cell, you wouldn't assume it had a creator just because of its complexity and design. And the second problem being that natural selection explains a lot of what the appearance of design could be. I find both Thomas Aquinas and William Paley's arguments very compelling. They both explain the creator of the universe, but in different ways. Thomas Aquinas explains that everything must have a cause or purpose in the universe, and William Paley explains the design that we see in the world around us. Together, they show how the earth and the universe can have a creator while also having faith in science-based beliefs. My opinion on the existence of God has been a very personal matter and journey. I grew up in the church and had a strong faith, but recently I had been questioning my faith. But the discussion in class really solidified my opinion on the matter. Now I'm a firm believer in God and believe I have a good argument for my opinion. One of the main points of doubt for me was the Big Bang Theory and evolution. They both said that the Earth was built over billions and billions of years, and that's how it came to be today. And before, I was on the thought that science and religion could not exist at once. However, William Paley and Thomas Aquinas' arguments really proved to me that they could go hand in hand and not only help each other, but prove each other. Like Aquinas' argument for motion, I believe that the Big Bang was the motion that set forth everything else in the universe, including God. And as for evolution, I believe that God created beings to be able to evolve so that they could live in their changing environments and adapt to continue to thrive in those. In conclusion, I find both Thomas Aquinas and William Paley's arguments very compelling. They brought forth the idea that science and religion can coexist as one, and I find that they actually work better together than they do independently. I think there is too much left up for speculation and the unknown for there to be one true answer of God's existence. However, I have found comfort and peace, in my opinion, through these arguments.